Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's edition of the Sunday Call-In Show presented by UGAsports.com. I'm your host, Paul Meharry. With me, as always, Ben Choppy Bachman, Jason Butts taking the night off, and we've got the wonderful Dane Young with a Bluey toy in his hand there.
Looks like know now.
Yeah, I know.
You're doing dad life well, my friend.
I'm changing over. Yes. So we've got Ben here, unfortunately, but we'll try to get through the show, guys, and give you the best content we can. I know last week I had a lot of you guys reach out to me personally and say that you guys really enjoyed the show last week. We want to say thank you. So that was a fun show for us over on UGAsports.com. I think I had one vote for my team. Jason had probably 75% of the other votes, and then Ben caught a couple more. So I finished in last place. Ben got second, and Jason got first. But
yeah, Paul, almost everyone I talked to said, man, that list is horrific.
Well, you know what hurt you, Paul? Because I weighed in. I thought Jason probably had the best draft. Choppy, you had some stuff at the bottom I liked. I think when you picked Rodrigo in this thing, that hurt your case. Because, and this is not a shot at Rodrigo. He's fantastic. But, you could make arguments that, I don't know, Jake Camarda, as he was one of the best punters of all. If you're going down that road, you're starting to get into some of the other successful kickers like Podlesny, and then maybe even some punters. I just think it's hard to win a game like that. So I don't disagree with you, other than the parameter of the game made it where yours looked worse because you selected a kicker, similar to picking Sebastian Janikowski in the first round of the NFL draft.
Also, here's
Nicole was not good either.
Okay. Listen.
Here's a return man glorified to Georgia.
Here, before we get on to the topics for tonight, I do want to clarify. We had it going for 5 rounds, Dane, and I was making that graphic while we were going. The show was live. I don't want to say the graphic took away from me being able to really pick, but I also will not say that it didn't not hurt. So, I'm not saying that the graphic stopped me from picking better players, but I had to do 2 things at once, Dane. You know how it is.
Content production's hard. I get it.
Yeah.
But, you got to lean on the staples at that point. And, that's when you go into Kobe Dean or
I did. I had Nakobe.
Your second and third rounds were solid. I disagree with everything else.
Okay, well, let's move on. Guys, if you're new to the show, you probably don't know what we're talking about. Last week, we had a draft of the best players during the Kirby Smart era. And if you missed that, go check it out on wherever you get your podcasts from. It's on UJ Sports as well. This week,
I wish you would have invited me, because I would have totally just torpedoed the game and just picked I'd pick Ladd McConkey and Cash Jones. And it's just been all my dudes.
You should have picked Ladd over Nicole. You should have, Paul.
Ben was thinking about picking Cade Made's dad's finger as one of his last.
I was gonna throw Bretton Cox.
Yeah,
I was just gonna throw a name in there for fun, but I was like, no.
Luckily, we got away from that.
Yeah, because that can get to some places you don't want to get to pretty quick.
Right. Yeah. So we kept it clean there. We kept it clean, guys. Much like the Braves this Sunday, getting a grand slam in the bottom of the 9th. We have a grand slam coming out on Netflix, and that's the Swamp Kings documentary. And that is going to be based around the 2006 to 2009 Florida Gators. Guys, I don't know about y'all, and I'd love to hear from you guys in the chat before we get started. If you're new, let us know where you're watching from. If you're old, let us know where you're watching from. If you want to join the show, the link is in the description. And as always, ask your questions. It helps the show flow. So, guys, I am looking forward to this. I loved watching the craziness of this team, and it just got even crazier as the years progressed. What other team would you like to see get a documentary? The Dogfather already coming in saying going to be a killer documentary. Knew that was coming, guys. But yeah, I think it's going to be a really good one. What other teams would you like to see?
And I don't know if it's just teams, but
eras.
All right. I want to understand better how Joe Burrow was Jake Fromm, and then he became the quarterback with the best offense in the history of the game.
A little Cajun. Okay, I like that. Went down to Louisiana.
Now, you want to just do a bio? Give me Edo, and I want to know everything about that man.
Ooh, that'd be a good one.
Have you ever looked at Todd Grantham's and this is not Netflix worthy. This is like,
that's maybe Amazon Prime. Like that.
I don't know if it's even that. It may just be like a YouTube channel that's just hanging out. Maybe it's ours. Right. But have you ever gone and looked at like his stops in his career? Like Todd Grantham has one of the most like fascinating careers.
He does. Andy Stowe says the Tennessee years.
That's what I was going to say. I was actually going to say it.
Lots of McDonald's bags. But then again, like we're just following one guy at that point. It's more of a biography, which I would be fine with following Jeremy Pruitt. I mean, I loved when he first made his first TV appearance on Two-A-Days. I know you guys watched that show back on MTV with Pete and Repeat. Repeat was the son of Pete. He played defensive end. And Jeremy Pruitt was on that show. And that's where we learned that he didn't know what asparagus was. So, starting from there to now, I'd love to see a Jeremy Pruitt one. Brett Weimer says a Joe Brady documentary. I don't know.
I think there's enough content there.
There's not enough yet. What about you, Ben? You got any documentaries you'd love to see?
Well, I think like the one they just did for like a person was Manti Te'o, because that was like great football, but then there was also a crazy story with it, which makes like the good documentary.
Right.
I think if you just want like a team, you need a team that's good or a team that was embroiled in controversy. Like obviously, I'm a Ravens fan, so Ray Lewis and Ed Reed played at Miami. Those mid to late 90s and early 2000s Miami teams, fun. They were fun teams to watch and were flashy. I would love a documentary on that because they had like Jimmy Johnson coaching them for a period of time with some players, and then they have new coaches coming in. It's just, I think Miami as a whole would have been fun, just any era of Miami.
I mean, that kind of happened with the 30 for 30s, right? The U and the U part 2. So
yeah, they did that already. Yeah.
USC, didn't they do?
They did.
Was a 30 for 30 on USC with Leinart and Reggie Bush. What
about a Kirby? Would there be enough?
Not right now.
Kirby documentary.
I mean, you could.
There's not enough scandal, I don't think.
You could pull an hour about Kirby, but you have to go into like the South Georgia hometown.
But I'm assuming this Netflix this is a documentary series. I'm assuming this is probably going to be 6 to 8 episodes. It's going to have a lot of. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that went on with this program. Guys.
It's covering
like Alabama. Nick Saban got a football life. On NFL Network, how they usually do like the retired football players. Right. He's known for a college coach, and he got that on NFL Network, which I thought was unique. And this is before he even won half his titles at Alabama. So I'm like, if Kirby keeps it up, he'll get one of those if he keeps it up at this pace.
Yeah, this documentary is going to be fun to watch. Tim Tebow being, the face of the program, obviously a Christian spokesperson, if you will, almost. Then you had so much stuff go on. I mean, I can't even begin to name it all off. Obviously, Aaron Hernandez, the Pouncey twins. You had Riley Cooper. You had Brandon Spikes. You had Joe Hayden. You had the other cornerback that got in trouble for domestic violence. I mean, there's just so much stuff that happened on that team. Ooh, Andy, this might be a good one. What about Ole Miss with Hugh Freeze?
Not yet. Just like the Auburn stuff is going to be the direction of his career. Because like to tell the full story of Freeze, it has to be the high school, rising, getting to Ole Miss, falling at Ole Miss, going to Liberty, which, man, there is a documentary on Hulu that incorporates some of the stuff at Liberty in the last few years.
Oh, there is?
Oh, yeah. Well, not about football.
Hugh
Freeze, about Jerry Falwell Jr.
Well, I mean, also Hugh Freeze, they could have at least one episode of him just about him calling plays in a hospital bed. That would be, I'd watch that.
I have 2 documentary ideas, and I think they're on different scales here. With Mike Leach's passing, I would just want to see everything about that guy. And
how he transcended offense.
And you can go into the Hal Mummy stuff, and there's just even just showing the coaching tree as you go and having those people talk about him. I'd watch 3 hours of that. The other, and this is probably like an SEC Network 1 hour special kind of thing that they announce at like the Thursday of media days, just to give you something to look forward to. But the Jefferson Pilot era of watching SEC football is just super nostalgic to me. So
Jefferson Pilot
Pilot, it turned into Raycom Media. That was like, if you wanted to watch Mississippi State play LSU at 11 o'clock local time, you did it on Jefferson Pilot TV. And the funniest thing about it is that the broadcasters, they were all named Dave. It was Dave Neal and Dave Archer. There was another Dave in there. So get all the Daves together and reminisce on really cheap, kind of shoddy broadcasting that is super nostalgic for people really older than me, but especially like
I've never heard of it.
Well, I'm not that much older than you. Like,
No, you're not.
People in the chat, tell me about JP.
No, apparently, yeah. People, Andy still remembers. Dogfather says JP Sports brought to you by Jimmy Rain and Yellowwood.
Yellow fella.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Lane. Frank DiCarlo says how he brought up the Lane train. Lane would be a good one, I think.
Well, I think there's a caveat of like their careers have to be over or something like that, because Lane Kiffin, there's going to be a lot more with him just at Ole Miss, and I bet you Ole Miss is not his last stop.
Oh no, but
not.
I'm saying once it gets to the end of his career, I think Lane would be a fun one to go back and watch. But I don't think I can't think of a team like the Florida Gators that had so many different things going on with it. You brought up the Miami Hurricanes back in the Ray Lewis era, but they already had a documentary on them. I can't think of another team that has this much controversy that surrounded them. So
I mean, you put Urban Meyer and Aaron Hernandez together, that gives you like 50 episodes to work with, honestly. If like everything real probably came out about what happened with those two.
Oh, I'm sure it is. It's a Netflix documentary. They don't hold back, Ben. They're not holding back on that. So I'm sure we'll hear some more about what happened with all of that. Next topic, guys. That was fun. Switched over to 8 games. The Georgia Bulldogs and the rest of the SEC in the 2024 season. And guys, I don't think, you can prove me wrong here, I don't think this is good for Georgia. Do you want me to tell you why?
No, let's just stop the show right here.
I don't think it's good for Georgia in that the SEC East is down right now. And what I mean by that is you've got Missouri, Vanderbilt, South Carolina is not that great. Tennessee, decent. Florida's kind of down right now compared to, obviously when we were just talking about 2006 to 2009.
Can I object to your general premise?
No, let me finish, and then you can. Georgia now has to play an 8-game schedule where they don't have the SEC East as their main SEC games. They're going to have to play more SEC West games in 2024, and I'm assuming once everything happens 2025 as well, if they probably go to a 9-game schedule. The East is down, guys, and that helps Georgia. Now 2024 rolls around. Who knows what that is going to look like? And I think that could potentially, it doesn't help Georgia. I don't think you're going up against SEC competition regardless, but now you're having to face, Ole Miss and Lane's offense or, LSU potentially, stuff like that. So yeah, go ahead, Dane. I don't think it helps.
The East is down compared to what? Because I would argue that the SEC East compared to the SEC East of like 2015 when Missouri won the league in back-to-back years, I'd say the SEC is a tougher league right now.
Yeah, but it's not tougher than the West, though. That's what I'm getting at. They're taking away all.
It's closer than you think.
It's way closer than you think.
No way.
Okay, you're not saying it because there's Alabama and there's LSU. I think
Correct.
Tennessee's rising. Okay, South Carolina. Okay, who do you think is the third best team in the East?
I was going to ask the same question.
Third best team in the East?
I think it's between two teams that you're going to say.
Right now, it's Kentucky.
All right, you're going Kentucky. Who's the third best team in the West, in your opinion?
You say A&M?
Yeah.
All right, do you think Kentucky can beat A&M? Can they?
Sure, they can.
Of course. That's why. The only reason is because people give the notch to LSU and Alabama over Tennessee, who both lost to Tennessee last year. That proves me and Dane's point.
Yeah, it's howdy, Miss Mary.
And if Florida gets back, it's a lot. If Florida can get back and you have Tennessee back, South Carolina's respectable, Kentucky's always a tough out, an 8-win team in the SEC. It's closer than you think.
Because you're saying the SEC East is down. What you're really saying is Florida is down. Because Tennessee's better than Tennessee has been. Kentucky's better than it has been. And if you look over the last
historically
8 years specifically, this past season, Kentucky wasn't quite as good as it was the 2 or 3 years before. But South Carolina, I have no idea with South Carolina. Like they're one of those teams other than 3 teams in the SEC. I think they can compete with anyone in the league, but I guess I look at it that I think Mississippi State is taking a step back. I think Arkansas is in a year that if Sam Pittman doesn't get something together, he's probably gone from over there. Like you look at the bottom of the West, and I don't see a whole lot to be feared, especially if Auburn is down once again, and who knows with a new coach. But I think what you're saying is Florida is down and Vandy is Vandy, and that makes the East weaker.
And you have Missouri too, so you know. I don't know. I think it hurts Georgia in the long run. But Kirby seems to be one of the guys that wanted the 9-game conference schedule. From everything that came out, it looked like he was one of the guys that voted yes to that. And obviously, you have to get I think unanimous decision for that to happen, and it wasn't the case. With that being said, now that 2024, the whole schedule is kind of up in the air, if you will. Where would you like to see the Georgia Bulldogs play in 2024, a road game, if you will?
Well, Paul, I do want to also, you talk about 8-9 game. By default, with Texas and Oklahoma joining the conference, the divisions are going to be changed.
Well, they already said divisions are done, right?
They're done. But even if they kept divisions, I think Alabama and Auburn would probably join the East, and they would put Texas and Oklahoma in the West. So you would have to play Alabama, and then Auburn would be an East team. And then if you had a cross division, it would be a new cross division. By default, with Texas and Oklahoma, no matter what format they did, it's going to be harder because they're not just because they have to balance the divisions. So I think that regardless, them joining the conference changed. If they didn't, they would probably stick with the same thing over and over again. Obviously, we know it's them. So there's really no way that they could have made it easier or the same for Georgia. There really is no way.
You know how teams fly flags and hang banners from when they won the division? Do you think they'll just take all those down?
So like what, Texas and Oklahoma?
No, I'm just saying like SEC East and SEC West, like especially in Georgia's facility, they have a wall that shows, well, there's not going to be East and West champions anymore. So
no, I think you hold on to those for history purposes. I think you hold on to those.
Yeah, but eventually they end up in a closet, right?
Yeah, eventually.
Like 10 years down the road.
But 10 years, yeah, like you said, 10 years down the road when nobody cares about it, sure. But as of right now, you leave it up. Yeah, you still, ACC East was still a thing. But it kind of goes back to Ben's point and your point, Dane, with this all kind of merging and everything going down. Is there a school that you would love to go cover the Dogs at an away game? And you can't look, you can take the easy cop-out answers, guys, of Texas or Oklahoma because they're the new schools. You can do that, and I won't get mad. I'll get a little upset. But is there and you know what? If you want to pick them, fine. Just give me a good reason why.
A&M.
I like that. Why?
They've never been there, I'll be honest with you. Kyle Field's a top 5 environment in college football, arguably. It just is. I think the yell people who do that, I think that's weird and corny as hell. I cannot stand that. It's just weird to me. But they're one of the loudest stadiums. And also Georgia, I don't think Georgia's ever played in College Station. I could be wrong. Maybe they played there one time before, but since they've been in the SEC, they haven't. So I think that would be
an incredible game under the lights.
A piece of me was wishing that, like, when Texas came to the SEC, that Texas A&M would be offended and like go to the Big Ten or something. Only because then that means that Georgia would have never played at Texas A&M while having been in the same conference for a decade. Like that would just be funny to me.
A&M's been in SEC for a decade now?
It was 2014, right?
Wow.
At least 2014.
The Dogfather says, look, man, you can't trust teams with no cheerleaders.
Oh, they have cheerleaders. They're just
cadets are a gimmicky cult, says Jay.
So my answer to this question is Texas, and it has nothing to do with the football game. Austin, Texas is one of the coolest places on the face of the earth. It's one of America's greatest cities. It's great food. It's a tech scene now. There's the music hub there. And all of a sudden, like, stand-up comedy happens in Austin, Texas. Like, it has a little bit of everything. And if you are designing your dream SEC road schedule, you want to play at Texas. You want to go play at Vandy. So it can be like, what is my favorite team that like playing in a high school that's outside of Nashville? But it's kind of inside of Nashville. That's kind of fun to see. What other 2 cities do you want to make sure you get to in the SEC?
I don't care. Hamilton Keener says I'm the GOAT, so that's all that matters, really. I appreciate that. Texas A&M is probably the best choice. Ben, you were able to snag that with your first pick. I don't know, like, would Oklahoma? I don't know if Oklahoma would be fun. They just kind of seem boring now with Venables there. Maybe if Lincoln Riley was still there.
Oh, Coach Donovan's going to text you with vile.
Yeah,
for trashing his national championship there.
I mean, yeah, but no, I mean, it's he probably would say the same thing. They're not as fun to watch as they were when Lincoln Riley was there, and that's just me.
When Williams was there,
Texas would be fun, but I would like to wait for the Texas trip until Arch is the quarterback, because Georgia and Arch kind of had that thing. They had that talking, if you will, between each other, and it never really turned into a relationship. I think it would be fun to go watch Georgia play Texas with Arch out there. Texas A&M, if you go look at Texas A&M's coaching staff, we went over this on a show one time. It is a who's who of they got some guys that been through a rough past and are now on the college staff at Texas A&M. So that's
a fun game that y'all need to play in like July or something. Of just we're gonna share the screen of all the staffs from every SEC team and just look for funny names of like how did they get there?
Yeah, well, that is exactly, if you pull up Texas A&M's.
Texas A&M's joke.
I'll do it right now.
Yeah,
Jimbo, DJ Durkin was a head coach and a player died.
Yeah,
you got Petrino. I mean, there's a couple others on there too. I'm just saying.
Adazio.
Adazio's there. Damian Craig is there.
Oh, Petrino's there. I already forgot that. And I'm so happy about it.
So going back to the documentary thing. I've already said this once or twice. I would love to watch a Hard Knocks college football version of Texas A&M this year, with all the blue chip guys that they got, all the transfers that left, the kids speeding in cars through a parking lot, and also just the coaching staff following those guys. I mean, James Coley is one of the more normal ones on that coaching staff, and that's saying something there. Harry agrees with me. Norman has no real vibe as a college town to me. Dane Young decided to go away. Let's see.
I didn't want my kid to be on here, and that's what you were going to get if I didn't go mute.
Fair enough. Jason is visiting the 405 Oklahoma to see some street outlaws would be okay. Is that show on Discovery? They still do that? I don't know. TAMU has the Dirty Dozen coaching staff. Yeah.
Oh, Andy Dogfather wants to know if Mike Baxter's going to be the coach. I don't think he is. Sadly, I don't think he is.
Andy So says Under the Lights at LSU is good stuff. Scary but good. That would be a fun one. That would be a fun one to go cover. If I had to pick one other than you guys, I would pick LSU. So, Eddie from Ackworth. Eddie, what's going on, my man?
How are you guys tonight?
Long time no see, brother. How you been?
Y'all doing well? Yeah.
Yeah, we're doing all right. What's going on?
Andy Stowe took the words out of my mouth. Death Valley at night. That would be unbelievable.
Yeah.
Do you know who the director of player development is at Arkansas?
Wait, where's Nick Williams? Is he at Colorado?
I think so.
Yeah.
Danny Verdun Wheeler.
Who?
Danny Verdun Wheeler.
Come again?
He played at Georgia.
Oh, I didn't know. Eddie, what's going through your mind as you sit on that back porch there just chilling? You probably went and lifted 450 pounds today, squatted 650. What's going on?
Not quite that, but I did almost jump through the roof when Eddie Rosario hit that grand slam.
That was a heck of a shot. That was a heck of a shot.
Did
you see that? Ben, did you see that? Or you were watching a different team today, or you didn't get a chance to see that?
Wait, I didn't get to see. Are you talking to me or Dane?
I said Ben. Yeah.
Oh, no, I did not.
Oh, man. Good baseball being played today.
Yeah, and you missed
the Yankees
you missed
playing the Dodgers right now.
You missed a literal kid pitching 2.1 innings, 20 years old, made his debut and pitched his butt off. It was amazing. So, but I know that's not the point of this show. I just wanted to
a 20-year-old kid's also the best men's tennis player in the world. So it's
who is that?
Carlos Alcaraz, freaking phenomenal.
You're throwing stuff at me tonight, Dane, that I just don't know, brother.
Man, I watch a lot of tennis. I love it. It's my favorite sport. It's just, you can't make it when it comes.
Favorite sports, tennis?
Yeah.
And you watch tennis, huh?
Yeah. I watched a lot of tennis this morning.
Hey, I'm with Dane. I played 3 hours of tennis yesterday. It's a great
There you go. The stuff that Carlos Alcaraz is doing is insane. If his body holds up, he'll be right there in the top 5 ever with Federer and Nadal and Djokovic. I'll shut up now. Goodbye.
Oh, wow. Andy, I like the comment.
Rab Dog is
One
saying
time you were trolling
we
me.
talking tennis? Favorite sport is tennis?
It really is. What can I tell you?
Dude, it gets you in shape.
Yeah.
Well, I did want to say I did log on to talk about football, so I'll get to that, Paul, if you'll let me.
Yes, absolutely. Please.
I did want to talk a little bit about this week's kind of loser mentality, I thought, with the 8 games versus 9. I was absolutely floored by some of the coaches and their comments, one of which was Sam Pittman, which was kind of disappointing, talking about how they'd rather go to bowl games than play 9 games. I know that's not exactly what he said, but that's kind of what he insinuated. And you got other coaches talking about their jobs, which I kind of get. But, I mean, come on. And this whole thing is ridiculous. Just go to 9 games. And I have a solution for all these stupid games like the UT Martin and the Ball States, which I know drive us crazy as fans. When I go to a football game in Athens, there's nothing better than going to Athens. But when you go to a game like a Ball State, you don't feel that in the atmosphere. I love going to Athens. I know y'all do too, but it's just not the same. Y'all get that.
Oh, yeah.
So if I was the SEC, if I was in charge of football for the SEC, I would say, here's the rule, guys. If you guys want to play one of those teams, help the program out, give them their millions of dollars, you play that opening weekend. And that can be week 0, week 1, whatever. That's it. You play that one game opening weekend, and then we're done with it, and you move on. And that's kind of like the scrimmage, almost the preseason that the NFL has. You play that one game, and then the rest of them actually matter. I don't know why they can't come to some agreement and do that.
I interrupt to let you know that Zach Mettenberger is an analyst at Alabama.
Yeah, Eddie.
Talk about a Georgia legend.
Eddie, you made a phenomenal point there, and Dane just took it to left field. I agree. I'm looking at this schedule for next year. Well, this year, this is so bad. UT Martin, they said they announced this as a night game, which I guess it will be when it finishes.
I mean, that's insulting. I mean, come on.
Yeah, they announced it as a night game.
That's basically a pat on the head for Georgia. Hey, you got a night game.
Yeah,
I mean, come on.
And it's a 6:00 kick, September 2nd.
Cash Jones going to be so hyped getting that ball all fourth quarter.
Talk about Cash Jones. It's going to be hot as heck for that tailgate prior to and then getting into the stadium. So make sure you got your water on you. But that's on, again, this is what gets me, Eddie. You want to start talking grinding gears, brother? You got to get the SEC Network Plus. So you got to pay the $9.99 to watch UT Martin. And it's the first game of the year. Do you know how many people on the dog vent and on Twitter are going to be like, how do I watch this game? Georgia's not on TV. Oh, my gosh, they're the national champions. How do they get this? Well, you have to do one game a year now, according to SEC Network, where it's the SEC Network Plus. So every fan base has to pay that $9.99. Everybody cancels it right after hell, I canceled it this past season. I canceled it in the second quarter of the Georgia game because I don't need SEC Network Plus. But
I think you only need to buy ESPN Plus.
No, brother.
That's what I did last year. And it worked.
No. Phil says listen to it on the radio. I wish I could, Phil, but I have to watch it with my eyes because I do a 3-hour show after the game. I can't really just listen to Scott Howard and then try to make my own show. That would be kind of crazy, actually. That would be like a dare almost, Dane. You have to listen to Scott Howard and Eric Zier broadcast the game, and you have to listen to it from a radio, and then you have to come on to the POS and host the POS. It'd be tough.
We should get one of our people to do that this year.
That would be tough. Eddie, first game of the year, Eddie. I need you to not watch the game and only listen to the radio, and then come on and discuss the whole game with me and what happened.
That's not going to happen.
But no, that's my gripe. And then you have Ball State, which they announced as a noon kickoff. You're right, Miss Mary. Twitter is going to be spicy over that, especially first game of the year. It's going to be insane.
Get used to the digital
South Carolina
stuff.
CBS 3:30.
South Carolina is CBS 3:30.
Do you
then
think
you have UAB at home?
Wait, so Paul, I have a question. Do you think they made the right choice choosing that over Tennessee, Florida? Because personally, Tennessee, Florida's in Florida, right?
I have no idea. Sure.
I think it's in Florida because last year it was in Tennessee. I think that
Yeah.
might be a bigger game than Georgia, South Carolina.
It'll probably be a night game, Ben.
Yeah.
Yeah, it will, but CBS had the first pick, is what I'm saying. So I think CBS messed up because I think that game is to be a more competitive game than Georgia at home against South Carolina. Just my opinion.
This is also this will be the third game at home for Georgia, but this will also be the first, I guess you could say, game for Georgia, if you will, and being South Carolina, coming off of 2 back-to-back, national titles. I think that's a decent pick for CBS. They have a lot to talk about during that game, if you will. But like Eddie was saying, also real quick, Dane, when did they start announcing schedules like week 3 out in advance for times? Is this the first time this year?
I mean, do you see how people get jacked up for NFL schedule releases? Like eventually that's going to trickle down to college football because you just want to capture as much attention as you can. Like they should have a full-on schedule release every July or something and keep it hidden until then.
Do you remember this, Eddie? Do you remember week 3 already having the time set for it?
No, I don't. Yeah. I don't remember. That's a great point. I don't remember this, but Dane's right. I mean, whatever they can do to capture more attention, they're going to do it. Absolutely.
So how far did CBS go down? Did they just schedule their first game, or did they go like week 4, week 5? Do we know?
I think that's what it was, is that they scheduled their first, and then since all the other is ESPN anyway, that ESPN can go ahead and, like, ESPN's not sharing with anyone. They're just sticking with their own assets of where it goes.
True.
Because the first week was always like ABC would announce in the summer, like in the early part of the summer. Like by now they would announce week 1 for the ABC games, like Georgia, Clemson, last year was Ohio State, Notre Dame. I think like they announced those really early. Yeah. But I think now, I guess all the networks wanted to have their first crop of games. I don't think CBS gets like any non-conference games.
Well, and like during the season, it's usually like a 3-week heads up on when the, in 3 weeks when that kickoff time is, other than if they do the flex window where they can wait and see.
You got to love the flex. You got to love the flex.
Yeah.
Where you're sitting there and you're like, man, we're going to get a 3:30 kick, or we're going to get the 7, or we're going to get the noon. What are we going to get? And like back in college, the flex sucked because you're sitting there like trying to make plans, and then they're like, yeah, flex it out. So what time we tailgating? I don't know. We'll find out.
Also, hey, so I have a question. The doing away the divisions, is that a 1-year deal, and is there a possibility they could go back to divisions the next year, or is it done?
They're done.
I think they're done. Yeah.
Okay, but it's only a 1-year deal right now, right?
Right now, yeah. Right now, it's only a 1 year.
Okay.
And I think I don't want to assume, but I feel like they had to do that, right? They had to do they had to do something. It's a 1-year deal right now. Rab Dog, he's saying no, it's permanent. No, it's a 1-year deal right now for 8-game schedule. They'll relook at that next year.
Do you think this affects like the Big Ten, for example? They're going to change their divisions because last year we would have had another Michigan, Ohio State if there were no divisions in that championship.
I think eventually it all goes to that way.
Yeah, I think so too.
If they were smart, they do that.
The other side of the Big Ten was that the Big Ten West is horrific. That's horrific.
Right.
Dude, that's such a joke, that entire side of that conference. But also, I did want to bring this up, Paul. I think the 9-game schedule, not just for the fans and for the entertainment, but with the new playoff, there's now is more margin for error. So you could lose an extra game now. So I think going to 9 games isn't as risky. In a 14 playoff setting, I think more people would be more like, okay, we're not going to 9 because suppose we have that team 1 year and we lose 2 games. Well, now you could lose 2 games and you could get in. So I think the 9-game schedule, I don't see why they don't do it. Because even if, let's say Georgia loses 2 games, they're still in the playoff. If you get hot in the playoff, you win the whole thing. So that's why I think the expanded playoffs is one of the reasons why I think the 9 games works. I think it works for everyone. And it just makes more quality games.
Well, let me say this. COVID sucked except for one thing. We got an all SEC schedule during COVID. I mean, did they not learn anything? That was freaking awesome. Even I know the fans weren't there and all that. COVID sucked. I get it. But that was incredible. Did they not learn that, okay, let's carry this forward? All SEC or 9, like you said, Ben, Let's do this thing. It just doesn't make any sense to me. And you're right, Ben. The coaches that are kind of borderline, they can still get in the play. There's, like you said, more room for error now going forward with that 12-game playoff.
Yeah, Andy Stowe says it almost has to go to 9 when Texas and Oklahoma come into the league, right? That's more of a Dane question there. Does it have to go to 9?
It doesn't have to, but they will go to 9. Jim Donnan told us that on Tuesday, that he's very confident this is a short-term solution with 8. It will get to 9. There's nothing that mandates that. There's nothing that mandates if the SEC wanted to, they could scale back to 7. But, they're not going to do that. What's happening is ESPN wants more games that they're able to point to advertisers and say, people are interested in this. That happens in the SEC more than any other conference. And if anything, the SEC can say, well, there's an extra game each week than what you paid for in your contract. So maybe let's renegotiate.
Yeah, that's going to be the big – that's what this all I feel like centers around is the negotiations for, TV revenue. If the SEC can get what they want, they'll go to – the SEC would go to 11 games if the ESPN was like, look, here's, X amount of dollars for each of your schools. Play 11 games. All right, guys. Well, you're playing 11 games against each other. Schedule your first cupcake for week 1, and then it's pure hell for the next 11 weeks. But I think 9 is probably where they end up for sure. Here's the thing, though, is I was talking to a couple of buddies about this. They're going to be, even with this 8-game schedule now, because you don't have the conferences, because you could pretty much, with the 2 SEC West schools, you can figure out Georgia's schedule fairly easy. Excuse me. Now, there's going to be a team that gets a cakewalk schedule with this 8-game SEC, and there's going to be a team that gets absolutely hammered. I'm talking, probably poor Arkansas is going to end up with LSU, Tennessee, Georgia, Alabama, A&M, Kentucky, and they're going to go 0-8. But then you're going to have another team, and it's probably going to be Georgia or Alabama because that just seems to be the way that it falls. And it's going to be like, well, Georgia or Alabama paid the SEC to get this cupcake schedule. I don't know.
Yeah, but all that's cyclical. Auburn, what have we won? 14 out of the last 15 against Auburn. My numbers may be off a little bit, right? Yeah. It's all cyclical. LSU could suck next year. Who knows?
It's a bunch of a flex that is. He said 14 out of 15, and the numbers may be off.
It's the truth, isn't it, Dane?
Especially in Sanford Stadium. My God. Auburn can't score points in Athens, much less compete in games. It makes you wonder how much longer some of the coaches at Auburn would have hung around if Georgia wasn't on the schedule. Because those Auburn teams in the last 10 years compete with Alabama almost as good as anyone else.
Yes, they do.
Yeah. But do you not agree? Somebody's going to get absolutely hammered with this 8-game schedule.
Yeah, but teams get hammered there all the time. Like Arkansas, prior to Sam Pittman, who's that coach they had? Chad Morris. They were an abomination. They didn't deserve to be a football team. And they had to play in the West all those years.
Be a football team.
It didn't. Did you see some of the teams that guy tried out there? I'm like, Arkansas used to be at least decent. There's some kids that you just find through the grapevines there, and
see, that's why we need promotion and relegation, because Arkansas may have never come back.
That would be fun. Would you be okay with that, Eddie? After seeing,
I love that. In fact, I think it's Brant. Who was it that proposed that? Was that you, Dane Young, that proposed?
Oh,
I've
proposed it for years. It'd be amazing.
I love
Consequences
that.
for losing.
If anything, if you're watching this, go watch Ted Lasso, and you'll learn about soccer and relegation. That's the greatest way to learn about it. And I've become a huge fan of the Premier League. I love this relegation stuff. I think it works perfectly for what you're talking about.
Because here's football.
I love that idea.
The beauty of it is that the day of the SEC championship, let's say it happens at 4:00, right? Or if you want to put it to 8, whatever. At 11 a.m. local time in Shreveport, there's the relegation game in the SEC. That's right. We're sending Vanderbilt and Mississippi State over to Shreveport, and they have to determine which one's going to be in the Sun Belt next season.
I love it. I think it's brilliant.
You would watch that you would almost be more interested in that than which team won the SEC, because both teams will be in the playoff anyway.
Yeah, 150%. Yeah. And then the fun part too, Dane, is you have that game, but then is there also a game? I don't know soccer, so you'll have to correct me. Is there also a game to get bumped up as well?
Yeah. So
absolutely.
what would happen? They would go down. The champion of the Sun Belt would then come up. So Appalachian State would be in the SEC forevermore because they would never be the worst team in the league. And then we all get to go to Boone. Heck yeah! Get all those Texas people, all those Texas private jets flying into Boone, North Carolina. Let's make that happen.
They beat A&M.
I'm okay. So obviously, why would that not happen, Dane?
I guess revenue sharing, would teams in the SEC agree? Because you do lose a significant amount of money if you go down. You also gain a lot of money if you come up. So maybe they could come up with some sharing system to make it worthwhile to do. Because then you'd also have you'd have to separate it from the other sports. Because Georgia theoretically would have some teams that would get relegated, and Tom Crean would have gotten relegated.
Yeah,
Georgia basketball.
Would you go so far as to award points? Like if obviously you get points in soccer. If you tie, you get 1 point, which is silly, right? You get a point for covering the spread, or whatever. I don't know.
That gives Vegas too much power. You can't be doing it that way.
But I was thinking this: if you're going to do the whole athletic department, you could give points for how you finished in each sport individually. So then, Vandy could still have a chance at staying around because they're good at baseball. You
have to have it to where your inferiority in football is what gets you relegated in football, and then if you're awesome in baseball, you stay there.
Okay, I'm just saying.
Because Tom Crean would have had Georgia just buried in the mud. I don't know where Georgia basketball would be with him, and then Scott Strickland. I don't know where. He's one.
If this were to ever happen, I don't know that it will because of money, although media companies would make more money from this scenario because all of a sudden then you care about the Sun Belt Championship to see which team's coming up to the SEC. It probably gives a little bit of extra confidence. Like I said earlier, if Arkansas is not great this year, they're going to fire Sam Pittman. They wouldn't do that in promotion relegation because if you fire and you get a Chad Morris, then you're gone. So you probably Sam Pittman wouldn't. Arkansas is not going to be the worst or one of the two worst teams in the league.
The Dogfather says the ACC could have an escape the grant of rights game. I like that. I like that a lot.
But see, the beauty of it, there's a team that just got promoted to the Premier League in soccer that they were 2 leagues down. So you could have a 4-league structure here to where theoretically in 4 years, Valdosta State could be in the SEC.
Right.
Would it ever happen? No. But it'd be amazing.
Paul, I do have a quick question. You just brought up the ACC thing. What are they called? Isn't there a group of 7 schools that they're called the Sinister 7 or some crap that has NC State and Clemson? They all want to get out.
I am Googling Sinister 7.
I just made they have a name of there's 7 schools. I'm NC State. NC State can't get in the SEC or Big Ten. They're NC State.
It's a super villain team in Spider-Man.
That makes perfect sense that you would say that, Ben. Probably been watching some Spider-Man. Eddie, what do you think about this Swamp Kings Netflix documentary? You gonna watch it?
I don't know.
Yeah, you will. Yeah, you will.
Big Urban Meyer guy.
You've never seen another Netflix viewer that's going to be more passionate about this. Does anyone know what I'm doing? It's the Tim Tebow speech.
The Tim Tebow, yeah.
Was it an Ole Miss loss, I think?
I can't wait to see him just kick a kicker right in the face. Just first part of the documentary, just see a kicker just get booted.
The hardest part to me is going to be reconciling with the fact that there is a documentary that is going to include murder in it. And in my opinion, I'm not sure he's the most unlikable person in the documentary. And I'm trying to figure out what that says about me and how much I dislike Urban Meyer.
Yeah. I know where you're going there.
Yeah. It's going to be crazy. It's going to be
Urban Meyer almost ruined Trevor Lawrence. Do you know how bad you have to be to ruin that? That's the golden child of football.
Andy Stowe says the Magnificent Seven. Magnificent Seven.
All right, let's go with that one.
Is that what they're called?
That's I trust Andy. I don't know. Jeff Fulford says relegation comes into play when we migrate to 4 major conferences. You might get your wish there, Eddie.
Yeah.
You might, when it goes to those 4 conferences, because other teams are going to want to get into it. And there's got to be some way for those teams to get into it besides other school presidents just saying, hey, we'll let you in. So yeah, that would be so much fun.
The Magnificent Seven is a 1960 American Western film with the town of Rose Creek under deadly control of industrial.
Oh no, this is a real thing. Clemson, Florida State, Miami, UNC, NC State, Virginia, and Virginia Tech are the Magnificent Seven ACC schools. That's what they're called. They're a group trying to get out. And some of these schools, I'm like, there's no way they'd get into the SEC or Big Ten.
So you didn't want me to keep reading the plot of this movie. I got you.
No, I think we can pass.
Hey, I appreciate y'all letting me on, but I'm going to end with this because I got to go watch a show with my boys and my wife. But
what's up?
Football after this year will never be the same. This is the last year of semi-normalcy for college football, right? And I think Kirby is now motivated by that to win 3 in a row because after this, it's a total crapshoot. So win that 3rd one in a row, be the greatest team of all time, and then let it happen because it's going to be a mess is a wrong word, but it's going to be totally different starting the year after next.
Oh, I like it, Eddie. That's a way to go out, bud.
Thank you, boys.
Leave us some sunshine. Thanks, Eddie.
Yeah.
Wow. Kind of made me think a little bit there. I think he might be right.
I mean, was he saying that this could be the beginning of the end for Kirby?
yeah, right.
He's shaking his head no.
Yeah, he's shaking his head
in the bottom.
He's still in the studio. Wait, he's shaking his head. No, it's not what he meant. No,
I knew what he meant, and it's transfer portal, it's NIL, it's all these things, it's additional playoff teams. But look, it's changing because there's money that people can make, and the money comes from more interesting games. It's the same reason the NFL started playing in Europe. It's the same reason the NFL started playing horrendous Thursday night games that no one wants to be a part of. They still generate a ton of money.
There's a reason Amazon Prime paid big bucks for those Thursday night games too.
When you look at MLB regular season games and NBA regular season games, they all covet what football has in the regular season. Every single one of them.
Andy Stowe. Andy Stowe. What's up, man? Your mic is muted. Andy, you're on live with us. Your mic's muted.
Hey,
there
guys.
You go. What's up?
Well, before Eddie got on, I was thinking you're talking about what team you would want to go play in what stadium. What about non-SEC? Where would you want to go non-SEC games?
I base this all on cities, and I've heard Madison, Wisconsin is one of the great college towns. So I would love to see.
I've heard that too, but it's Madison, Wisconsin. It just feels weird, but I've heard that too. I've heard it's great. I have a friend that went. So.
There's an obvious pick. I hate them to death, but Penn State.
Penn State.
I don't want to go to Pennsylvania. No thanks.
I don't know. I kind of want to go to Oregon just so I can see Nike's headquarters.
So that was my pick too. Yeah. And also the Michigan. I think it'd be cool to go play at the Big House.
Yeah, Michigan, and go play at Ohio State, I guess.
Yeah.
Although there's so many Ohio State
They're
fans.
playing there in 2030.
Yeah.
Yeah, I doubt it. I seriously doubt it. I doubt that game.
Do you think they're just going to pull that game?
Just like they pulled Oklahoma.
Well, they pulled Oklahoma because they were joining the conference and it was a home and home.
Trust me. Big trust. Big fact.
There's a difference. So what do you think? Ohio's just going to be like, we don't want to play Georgia. Georgia's like Ohio State.
If they
throw them out, no, you're not going to do that.
I mean, the answer is Hawaii, right? Like that's the way we want Georgia to go. Like
out there. But that wouldn't be too much of a game, though. It'd just be more the atmosphere,
See, if I'm Kirby and if whatever year it is that he knows this is last year, I'm getting that game scheduled. Be like, yeah, we're gonna head out there, pack it, spend all y'all's money, but I'll be in Hawaii for a little while.
I tell you a place
Vandy just did it. Vandy went out there.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I want to take a full team of teenagers and young adults out to Hawaii as my last year coaching. I'd just rather go out there with my family.
Ain't Kirby's job except just to get to the field.
Yeah, true. You're right. He's got 50 guys to take care of those guys.
Now, a place I think is cool is Corvallis. I would not want to go there on a Thursday night, but I think Corvallis, it just seems, I don't know, there's something cool about Corvallis.
Places you don't want to go on a Thursday night. I could play that game.
Yeah. Corvallis is where I don't want to go. So.
Boone. You'd never want to go to Boone. Just
Good
period.
point.
Virginia Tech on a Thursday night.
Oh, for sure. Now that would be awesome, but that'd be scary though.
Yeah, you don't want to go to Virginia Tech on a Thursday.
Well,
UCF?
is Mike Vick coming back or not? Like, is there? If there's not a Vick, so
Yeah, they do stuff up there on Thursday nights.
they do.
You don't want to play Pitt the first game of the season.
That's a good one.
Play a month in and it's fine, but you don't want them on that first game.
Yeah. Trying to think who else on a Thursday night.
UCF.
Well, and Florida's playing Utah at Utah this year on Thursday night. That's open.
Don't want that. Don't want that.
Well, Florida's gonna get smoked, I think, but
Yeah, I don't want that.
no.
I wouldn't want that. Utah would be a fun one to go to. I feel like they're cool out there in the Pac-12.
Yeah, but imagine playing a game at like 10 at night Eastern time, like out here viewing. I think that's something that don't think will ever happen with an SEC team.
I mean, Georgia played at Arizona State.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
While ago, but it happened.
They said it was beautiful too. Just the desert in the background. Washington. I think Washington would be cool.
Do
Washington.
you think Colorado? I know
That's
they
good.
played Colorado, but do you think Colorado would be fun now that Dion's there?
Absolutely.
He wouldn't be there by the time if you scheduled it.
Yeah,
this
if you
year.
scheduled
by the time
this,
it
yeah,
comes around, it would.
Yeah. I mean, you'll eventually get to face Dion when he takes over for Hugh Freeze at Auburn in a couple of years. You'll get to face Dion.
Imagine if Dion did take the Tech job. How crazy that would have been.
Georgia Tech.
Yeah, if he would have taken Georgia Tech or Auburn.
I didn't want it just because of he could get players. I mean, they were
Yeah.
going to go. They're going to follow him. So I didn't. I mean, it's not that I'm scared of his coaching, but yeah, he can get players. So,
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
worried about him getting Tech. I was glad he didn't take that job. So,
Yeah, it would have been a boy. It would not have been fun.
That just wouldn't have been a fit in so many ways. Like, you would have had the academic side of Tech be like, wait, what are we doing?
Yeah, we're letting these kids in. We're just letting them in. Let them come
Yeah,
in.
we're just gonna make new majors. We're just gonna make new majors, I guess.
Ooh, Dogfather with maybe the best one of the whole show. Play UNLV at Reliance Stadium to get a week in Vegas.
Have y'all ever seen Reliant Stadium up close?
Not up close,
That
but
place is crazy. I was there when they were building it. It looks like it's next level stuff. Like I mean, it's right at the end of the strip too. Like it's crazy where it's at. I was shocked that it was that close.
Paul, I don't know if you need to go back to Vegas, my friend.
not in the summertime. No.
Felt like 120, I think, out there, and
Yeah. Your boy about passed out.
that dry heat still heat.
Yeah, it is. It was burning from the inside. That's for sure.
Yeah, we
Did
saw.
Oh, where did you
Penn
have
Teller.
the shampoo issue?
The shampoo issue was at Baltimore Rivals.
Oh, it was my home. Oh,
Yeah.
Paul has issues up here.
Yeah.
I might have planted that. Who knows?
Yeah, you were like 12 when that happened, Ben.
Oh,
Oh, wait. Thank you for bringing this up because I'm thinking like places that UGA sports people have stories, and New Orleans comes to mind. I want Georgia to play Tulane. I want Tulane in the SEC. Get me to New Orleans all the time.
No, I can't go back there.
I love New Orleans. It's fantastic.
Can't go back there. Can't go back there. Guys, we're going to go
Paul
ahead.
can't go anywhere, to be honest with you.
There's not a lot of places, Ben. Not a lot of places.
Your dad life now, like your New Orleans just changed, bud.
Yeah. Well, I don't
Chuck
think
E.
Paul
Cheese
can't
is
hang
the
like
new
he
New
used to.
Orleans for you.
He told me, he's like, I don't got much energy for the show anymore. He's probably going to retire soon.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. Guys, we appreciate you so much for joining in with us and Andy Stowe, Eddie from Ackworth, and everybody in the chat. Guys, this is kind of how the show is going to go for the next couple of weeks unless something crazy pops off because we're just in the summer right now waiting for summer camp to start. When's that start, Dane?
I don't know.
When's summer football start, Andy?
Is that August 1st?
No, I think it's
I think it's in.
I love just being massively incompetent at my job right now.
I think it's before that.
Media Days is third week of July. That's what I know.
So then it's right after that then.
And
right?
that's kind of the kickoff of everything.
Yeah,
Everything begins rolling
they.
out.
I think they check into the Georgia Center the last week of July. I think that's when they start staying with us.
That was very specific.
Well, Andy
I work
works there.
So-
Works there. He's
Oh,
gonna
well,
know that.
okay.
Yeah, so that's what's great. Like I got to watch camp last week with the eighth graders. I'd sneak out and go watch them play. I mean, Kirby.
Well, hell, why didn't we just give you the show today? And then we could all just sit on the couch.
Hey, if y'all need videos, I have because we also work in the Fanning building, so I have an angle. So
Right.
Oh, you could have
All
just
right.
taken Blaine and Jed's job. Roddy's been wanting to replace Jed for a long time.
Andy, you got to know something. they watch us. So you're going to have somebody in like a very dark suit and sunglasses and a briefcase come up to you sometime this week. And you need to watch it back, bud. Like,
it's okay. Like I said, I work there. I got a name badge, so I'm good. So I got keys to the building. So
you work there now. You work there now, Andy.
Until I get fired. Yeah.
I don't know about next week, brother. But guys, we will see you next week, next Sunday.
Oh, wow.
And
thank you, Joe.
Oh, Joe said he already misses the Georgia player draft. I wish we could do it again.
Man, am I that bad?
Hey, I had an idea about the draft.
Yeah,
what about the coaches? What about 5 rounds of the best coaches that's coached under Kirby? I was thinking about that earlier today. Because that could be kind of tough. Like, who would be your first pick of any assistant coach under Kirby?
Del McGee.
Todd Monken.
I want Del McGee.
Okay, you know what, Andy?
I think by the time he's up, it might be Shoe. I think
that's what me too. I'm with you. So I'm
okay. Let's next week. If nothing crazy happens, we'll run that next week. Andy, you jump on with us, and we'll go 4 rounds.
Sounds good.
All right, guys. Well, we appreciate you so much for watching. If you missed any of the show, go over to where you catch your podcasts, and you can listen to the show in its entirety, or head over to ujsports.com. We'll have the video up and the podcast here in just a few minutes. We appreciate you so much for joining us, and we'll see you next week. Thanks so much.